Hello everybody. Welcome to Rites of Battle, and this is Godfrey here, and I'm going to be doing a video review of the video game Space Hulk. Came out not too long ago. I was actually gifted it for Christmas, which is pretty much the only reason that I have it. But I was actually pleasantly surprised by the game overall. I was pretty pleased with it. For those of you who might not remember or who don't know, Space Hulk was actually a game from long ago, and then it was recently updated, I think a few years back, with a really nice, very high quality board game. And most people know the models by now, and that's mostly why I think a lot of people buy or know about the kit. But it did have an interesting game. I mean, it's basically Terminators walking into very narrow corridors, excuse me, and gene stealers from the Tyranids, kind of trying to maul them and stop them from doing what it is that they're doing. And if you've played the board game or you really enjoy the board game, I think you'll really like this game because it is, for pretty much all intents and purposes, it is the game. The thing about it that I like is that it removes a lot of the hassles from the board game. So the setup time and rolling dice and actually moving models, which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy moving models, that's why I play these games, but if nothing else, the setup time was quite tedious. And it just kind of was too cumbersome and too slow to really make the game really more than just kind of a passing fancy, or for the diehard fans only. But along came Space Hulk, the video game, and now pretty much anybody can kind of have the experience, and then some. So we're going to jump in. We'll take a look at it. Overall, the presentation is pretty much what you would expect from a grimdark game. It holds up the aesthetic quite nicely. The graphics are pretty decent for what this game is, and the independent developer that made it. There are some ups and some downs for this game, like many others. It has the campaign mode, which we'll get into in a moment, which has a lot of content. That's pretty much the content of the game. Multiplayer actually is a bit of a letdown for me, because I just can't find people to play with. I just have not had luck playing with people. The queuing system is I don't know what the coding is behind that, but I sat in a queue for over 20 minutes and never found a single person. So if you have somebody else who owns the game, you can queue up with them and play with them just fine. I was kind of bummed that there's no cooperative modes for friends to play against bots or friends to play against other friends. So that is a bit of a letdown, but I mean, there's not that in the game, so it is what it is. It holds true to the game and what that offers, which I believe is hot seat is being able to play against a friend. The librarium is pretty simple. I mean, you can change your banner as you go. You get more banner unlocks. Basically, completing every mission, you get new banners. Now, those of you who know will recognize that this is not the endgame banner. I have, in fact, actually beat the campaign, but it was on my desktop computer, and I'm recording on my laptop. So, unfortunately, I do not have the full glorious banner there. And then, obviously, your achievements and everything else there. The shop is very limited. It basically is an alternate Tyranid skin and a banner pull difference, and really that's it. And then your standard options with game audio and controls and that like. But otherwise it's pretty standard. So jumping into the campaign, you'll actually notice that there's a few things over here. A couple of DLCs. You can buy these in the shop to access new content, which is, it's unfortunate that you have to buy it, but it is, it's there. Then you have the Boarding the Sin of Damnation, which is actually just tutorials. It's 3 very quick tutorial missions that basically, in the story, lead up to where the first mission takes place in the tabletop board game, which is the Sin of Damnation's campaign. So you'll notice, those of you who have played it, you have all of these missions here, which are exactly as you see them on the board game. And then there's another one, which is the Messenger of Purgatory, and these missions are rough. I tried Cleanse just to give it a shot, but they are long and they are difficult missions. And really, it's just kind of a knockdown, drag-out fight. So just for the sake of things, I'm going to go into our classic story here, and I'm just going to play Suicide Mission. It's the very first mission most people get acquainted with the tabletop game, and so I'm going to do that. And as you'll see in a moment, when you click on this, it's very cool. It gives you this really awesome briefing and shows you the map, and I was actually very pleased with the presentation. So go ahead and check this out.
There is a large bank of functioning escape pods in a sector well beyond our established perimeter. The enemy must not escape. Cleanse the control room. No matter the cost, this will be done. Sergeant of the squad, accept your orders. You command one squad. You will deploy your Terminators here. Scanners have detected Xeno's life signs in these areas. Deep scans indicate the target is in this area. Bathe the control room in flame and protect the battle brother who bears the heavy flamer. If he falls, all is lost.
So there you have it. Very nice, very tactical readout of the game that is coming up ahead. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the game. So the presentation of this game is, again, it's quite spot on. You know, you've got very nice graphics. You'll notice when you get into the game here that in the board game, those of you who own it like I do, the tiles basically represent kind of the floor, and you get kind of an idea of kind of the space that you're in with the walls. And this game basically replicates exactly what those tiles look like and uses them in the exact same fashion. So this map literally is not only incredibly detailed, but it does hold true with what the actual game on the tabletop should look like. So there you have it. That's looking at the map. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy my Terminators. It's actually really easy to deploy your squad. You can kind of choose who you want, and they all have different names. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of deploy my sergeant up front. I will protect my battle brother who bears the holy flamer, or the heavy flamer, by putting him back just a little bit. And then the last three guys in this squad are basically just Stormbolter and Power Fist dudes. So really, I'm not going to worry about what order they are in. I'm just going to deploy them. So there you have it. You get little icons of where they're going to be, and then bam, you deploy. Zip, zop, zoopity bop. Look at that. Quite cool. Now, this is exactly how the board game works, with a few little tiny tweaks for the better, in my opinion, and I'll kind of go through how the game works very simply. First off, if you look down here in the bottom left, you see your squad, and you can choose either by clicking on their icons or by clicking on them, and they each have their own set of action points, which we'll get into. And the one little thing that you always need to make sure you pay attention to is your command points. They're basically bonus action points which can be used by anybody. Now, as long as you have a sergeant alive, you can choose to re-roll your command points. If you know, in this case, I got really poorly. I only got 2 out of 6 potentially. So you can re-roll it, but I could just get a 1 by clicking the re-roll. But if you do any actions before this, you will notice that you cannot re-roll. It has to be the first thing you do. So I'm going to re-roll. Haha, now I've got 4 command points. Hot darn. Now, moving is actually very simple. Moving into squares takes an action point. Opening doors takes an action point. And basically turning. Actually, a 90-degree turn takes 1 action point, so turning around takes 2. So the Terminators are quite cumbersome. Gene Stealers, however, are not, which is nice. Now, they do make it very nice. I'll kind of split this action up and you'll see, and then I'll start moving quicker as we go. You can actually move diagonally and keeping the same facing, so that is something that you really need to pay attention to doing. And now, since the square in front of me has a door, I can actually open this door, and you'll understand why I do that in a moment. So I'm going to move the rest of my Terminators. Oh, actually, and this is a quick thing. I can use the undo button if I wanted to, but I'm actually going to keep him there. I think that's a good spot for him, considering what I'm going to be having him do in a little bit. So I'm going to move my heavy flamer up into that corner, and we'll just move everybody up and just kind of get them going. Now, in this particular moment, there are 0 Gene Stealers on the table, and so I'm just going to use my bonus action points, since everybody is pretty much used up, to just get some extra mobility. But that's not always going to be a smart idea, and you'll understand why in a little bit. So I'm going to get this guy turned for something that we'll have later. I'm not going to worry about that now, and I'm going to get my sergeant moved up and out of the way. And then I'm just going to get, let's see, you know what, yeah, we'll just pop him forward. Alright, so I've got no command points left. Everybody has used their action points, so once that's done, I can end my turn. And now, once this happens, obviously the computer takes control, and you'll start seeing these blips. Now, they look very different from the green POG blips, and they actually change as you know, just as time goes. So before you understand what they are, and obviously this is going to be the game's tutorial, before you see what they are, they will change to between like a Broodlord or 2 Gene Stealers or 3 or just 1, which is what they could be. So, we're going to go ahead and have him open the door. So go ahead, Sergeant Lorenzo opens the door. Now, one other thing that I thought was very cool about this game is up here in the upper right, you have basically, you see these little lights, basically, on Terminators, but they also have little lenses, which is this camera here. So you'll see as Lorenzo moves, and it follows whoever you have selected. So as Lorenzo moves here, you'll actually be able to see from his perspective. And he was quite cool. Unfortunately, he didn't kill the Gene Stealer, but as you move, you actually get to fire. You know, so I'm going to move again. Maybe he'll kill it. Nope, he totally misses. And now this is where I'm going to show you pretty much what you need to know for Space Marines in this game, and that is this this button right here. It's for Overwatch. It takes 2 action points, but it's absolutely worth it because basically, if any Gene Stealers move into your line of sight, if you get a kill roll, which is a 5 or a 6, they die, and that's for every square that they move through while they are in your line of sight. So it's absolutely imperative to make sure you have your corridors locked down with Overwatch, because if you don't, you could get into close combat, and the Gene Stealers will tear you apart in close combat. So, one little thing, though, I will mention before I go into Overwatch is that it's a balance issue that I have found with this game, and I have done. I basically don't abuse it because I think it's cheating, honestly. And I was actually a little bit sad that the developers didn't realize this. In that my last action was to move forward and hopefully kill that Gene Stealer. Now, because I did that, I can't. It uses an action point, but I didn't get the result I want. You can actually click the undo button and try again. And you can continue to try and try and try again. I'm glad he actually didn't die, so that way I didn't have to abuse it. Until you get the result that you want. And there's 0 penalty for doing this. You can just keep undoing until you get the way you want. And I was actually very sad that they let this kind of thing happen. I would have been okay if they would have said, okay, you can undo 1 action a turn, or undo 1 thing, and then it won't let you undo it anymore, so that you couldn't just keep abusing these kind of things. Or really difficult, or really to be a kind of a snippet, is you could cost them action points or command points to undo an action, but that would be pretty stiff. So I'm going to go ahead and set him to Overwatch before I forget. Now, if you roll any doubles, even if you kill them like double 5s or double 6s, which you'll see down here in this box, it will jam your gun, and it will take an action point to unjam it. This is why I like leaving command points open, because they will use those command points, those any leftover unused action points, starting from their own down here, or into the command points until they unjam their gun, it's an automatic unjam. But anyways, we're going to keep moving here because there's lots to do, and Xenos never sleep. So we're going to move and get ready to do some killing of the Gene Stealers. So we're going to set this guy to Overwatch because those crafty bugs can come from down here. So I like to keep a guy back here just to to make sure that I've got somebody watching my butt, you know, so that I don't get pincer attacked. So I'm going to leave my remaining 3 command points here, and even though these guys have action points that they haven't spent, there's not much I can really do, obviously, because they are kind of trapped in. So you do have to actually be very tactical and very mindful of where your guys are going to be going. So we're going to go ahead and in turn and see what the Gene Stealers do here. And we'll see if we can get some cool kill cams going on. Alright. Wow, they got a lot of Gene Stealers. See, right there, his gun jammed, so he'll use a command point and unjam it. Now, there you go. These are some nice kill cams in that it will zoom in on your guys. Man, I'm getting really unlucky, considering how many of them bugs I'm going to have to deal with. Ooh. I think I've used all of my command points already on just 2 Gene Stealers. Ouch. So hopefully he'll do better as the thing goes on. Now, this is pretty close to how it actually is in Space Hulk. I mean, you have to be very mindful of your command points and how that's going to affect you. Now, the one thing that I have kind of a bummer here is that I do not have my heavy flamer in a position where it can actually fire. But it is really handy at clearing out these corridors. And the other thing that I have an issue with here is that these bugs can come around. So if I move up to here, I'm in a lot of trouble because I just can't overwatch them. So slow and steady wins the race here. I'll see if I can move and fire and clear out a couple of these guys. Unfortunately, I cannot. So we're going to go ahead and set him to Overwatch. And hopefully I will not lose my my sergeant too quickly. So, and obviously I'm going to set this guy to Overwatch just in case. Hopefully I won't have to use it. And pretty much everybody's going to move forward and kind of get ready for a colossal deathmatch if things don't go my way. And obviously the Heavy Flamer cannot Overwatch. So, you know, that's just a balance issue. Now, the Heavy Flamer actually does act quite differently in this game, in that you'll notice here it kind of, based on how you fire it and how far away you'll set it, obviously I only have one option here, which I don't want to do, it's not just a pog, it's not a circle like it is in the board game. It actually kind of bakes out and kind of bakes a whole lot of areas. So hopefully I'll get a chance to show you how that works. We'll just see if I get kind of massacred here. I've never seen this many Gene Stealers start this early, so hopefully I'll be able to deal with it. So a little bit slower than I would have liked to have moved, but there's a good start. Of course not. He had to jam. I thought it was a good start. Now, one thing, the computer is still a computer, normal or difficult or whatever, and I've only seen it on normal and basic difficulties. I haven't tried the hardest difficulty yet, in that you can't really... Ooh, I got real lucky there. In that they don't do real smart blocking with line of sight, because if they move a Gene Stealer down this corridor and stop him right here and he doesn't die, the rest of them can move up behind him because that front one will block line of sight. So as you guys can see, I got extremely lucky here. Ooh, you even got an extra pot shot there. How nice. This is exactly why Overwatch is so important for Space Marines. I definitely would not have been able to clear all of those Gene Stealers had I not Overwatched and just kind of let them come at me. So, again, if you are playing this game, make sure you are very smart with your Overwatches. Slow and steady definitely does win the race in these types of games. So, man, they are just losing their Gene Stealers left and right, which I'm totally okay with. So you'll notice my weapon jammed again there, but again, it's so nice because the autopilot did fixes it as it go, but I do believe. Ooh. Yep, this guy's going to get unimpeded movement because my bolter jammed and I was out of command points, but he is one of 2 surviving Gene Stealers. So we'll see how things go here. Now obviously you'll need to make sure the little icon that pops up here will tell you that your weapon is jammed, so you'll need to spend a point to unjam it. So I'm going to go ahead. Actually, this is a time that I like undo because I just was not even thinking, wasn't paying attention. I will undo that and re-roll my command points, hoping to get more, and I did. All right. So I will now unjam my my gun, and I will take a pot shot at this guy for a single point. Oh, but he jukes it. He's got them jukes. All right. So we're going to set him on, we'll actually take another shot, because you'll notice here he gets a little icon over his head, and you'll notice the percentage actually increases with what's called sustained fire. That's basically if you continue to fire at something, you get, I think, it only happens once, I think, but you get an increased chance to kill them. So we'll go ahead and fire again. Oy! Man, it's just not my day to kill Gene Stealers. So yeah, 56 is the... that is the limit. It goes up to that much. So I've used one command point in his last ones to put him on Overwatch. Hopefully I'll get more lucky there and bathe him in that, and when that comes. Now here's another conundrum. I can move 4, or I can move 3 and then turn 1 and spend 2 of my command points, and hopefully I'll would be able to kill him. So I think that's what I'm going to do, just to kind of make this a little bit more interesting. And we'll see about putting this guy on Overwatch. I'm not sure if it'll be able to reach him, but we'll find out. So, maybe when the Gene Stealer comes around the corner, maybe this guy can catch him with an Overwatch as he moves into this square here in front of my Sergeant. Now, for those of you who, again, are familiar with the game itself, Terminators roll exactly 1d6 in close combat, and Gene Stealers roll 3. And I think the highest roll, as long as you get a 5 or a 6, which is the kill zone, as long as you get the higher roll wins. I think as long as you get that number, I think that's how it works anyways. Either that or just the highest roll wins. So Gene Stealer's rolling 3 versus the 1 Power Fist. I think it's pretty damaging. Now I think ties do go to the Terminators because they are so outclassed. And later on you'll find different characters, different sergeants obviously. The Power Sword, I do believe, has the parry special rule, which is I think it's a +1 to his attack rolls, or a -1 to enemy attack rolls. So we'll find out. I'm not real positive on that one. I'm sure somebody could comment and let me know how that does work. Not going to worry about these guys, not going to worry about putting them on defend or anything like that. So hopefully the Emperor will protect, and I will kill that Gene Stealer. This is going to be a sweat and bullets turn. Alright, well that one's dealt with. Hopefully I'll have the same luck. Ooh. Alright, yes, the Emperor does indeed protect. I am safe and sound. And this poor Gene Stealer ran right into his own death. So how about that? Now this is an interesting moment again where I'm going to have to kind of pay attention to which corridors I'm going to want to come down and with whom, because as you'll notice, Gene Stealers can come from pretty much this whole side of the map. And honestly, you know what? I'm going to have the Sergeant, he's going to move up here, he's going to move up and open the door, and he's going to clear the path for the control room. And for those of you who don't know, I need to fire the heavy flamer in this room. So we will see what I can do. And we will move up. The Gene Stealers were nice enough to open that door for me. So we're going to go ahead and move there. Now I have... Oh, I do get my move and fire. Now that's interesting. And they were a 3 blip, so I didn't need to re-roll. I had noticed that. Sorry, I didn't mention it. But it's definitely a good thing. So I'm going to slam on the Overwatch here. And we're going to put this guy forward. Only 2, and then Overwatch. So yeah, I think you guys get the gist of what I'm doing and how things actually do work. So hopefully it all makes a curmudgeon of sense, I suppose, and how things are in fact working. But for those of you, I guess, who are just looking, the quality of this game is actually it's superb for what it actually is. I mean, this represents Space Hulk to a T. And really, I think some of the things that were altered, in my opinion, for the better. Things are automated. So the bolter fire, you don't have to take the time to roll the dice. It just does it for you via a random number generator, which is exactly what a dice roll basically is. The kill cam that you keep seeing kind of pop up, like here, where it kind of gives you the close-up, it's really cool. You kind of get real close to the characters. And speaking of the characters, when it comes back around, when the Gene Stealer stops suicidally charging into my Overwatches, which I always enjoy watching, I did forget to set him on Overwatch. That's something that's important to note, is that you need to make sure that you do pay attention to all of your guys. First things first, we'll set him on Overwatch, and then I will get guys moving. But one thing that I was absolutely thrilled about and stunned, honestly, to see the level of detail is in the actual character models themselves. Now, obviously, those of you who own the models, or those of you who at least know, one of the big selling points of the actual tabletop was the models themselves. And I think, both the Terminators especially, but I think the Gene Stealers as well, were great models. But if you'll notice, the lighting is great in this game. You get like these grids of light kind of shining down, which hit the Terminators. And then each of the character models is exactly as you see them. Obviously, everybody's looking the wrong way, but they are exactly how they look on the table, or with the miniatures. Purity seals in the exact right places, the dangling honors. All of that is replicated absolutely perfectly. So if you enjoyed the game because the models were fantastic, then you're getting just as much out of these out of the character models in this game. The Gene Stealers, they're Gene Stealers. I've never actually much cared for the actual aesthetic of the Gene Stealer. I was always a much bigger fan of the Hormagaunts, and I guess the Termagaunts to a point, but really the Hormagaunts, because the little scything talons look great. But they are Gene Stealers to a T. They move, they skitter. I was kind of bummed, just kind of in the speed of the game, and this is a limitation, not a fault on the design team, but a limitation rather of how the game actually works, because it is kind of turn-based. That the Gene Stealers don't feel like they skitter around quick enough, in my opinion. They don't run off of the walls, and you've got a lot of the models on the tabletop. They're bursting through the floor, or skittering up onto walls, things like that. They really don't show that too well in this game, because they have to move so slow for the kind of the turn-based feel. And honestly, I need to show you the close combat, but it's really not that big a deal. It's not that much different. It kind of zooms in on the kill cam, and then either the Space Marine will either say, "Oh, another one falls," or "Oh, avenge me, brothers." If he dies or not, and you will probably die. Even the sergeants, especially the other sergeant Gideon, who has a thunderhammer and a storm shield, he loses a lot for me. And same with the lightning claws. I just generally feel that the ranged guys, ironically, the storm bolters will win you the game. More than any of the other weapons, even in this case where the heavy flamer actually wins me the game. The Stormbolter, as you can see with this ridiculous powerhouse of Overwatch, is what actually shines here. Honestly, I enjoy the game. It is quite well designed. I'm going to re-roll just to see if I get better here. I did. I got an extra point. How about that? As you can see, I'm kind of basically just making a mad dash for the control room. And so this is going to be interesting. I only have a little bit of range to Overwatch with, but in theory it should be more than enough. So while he's moving, I'll putz back over here and throw him on Overwatch. Hooray. Yeah, I mean, you're getting the gist of how the game works, and it really does. It's the tabletop. I think it's fantastic. The developers did a great job in porting over the game. Again, with the undo button notwithstanding, I think you can't get much closer to the experience of the actual game Space Hulk than you do with this game. And I actually like it a little bit better because, as much as I do love the tabletops, this type of game, this type of strategy game, really does just kind of lend itself. Oh wow, that was it. Only one, only one Gene Stealer. I guess their reserves are running out. I think this type of game, it's kind of a slower paced, more methodical, more kind of pay attention to what you're doing, kind of thing. It lends itself better to a computer game than it does a board game, especially one involving multiple people. So really, even if you're not a diehard fan, and you can catch this on sale, it's on Steam. I believe it is $30, which I don't know that I would honestly pay $30 for this game. And I'm just going to go ahead and win the game now because I can. I don't know that I would pay $30 for this game, but if you can catch it on sale for $10 or get it for free because you've got an awesome friend, then totally pick it up. It's worth looking at.
It is done. The fires have consumed the control room with flame. There will be no escape for the enemy. Death is all that awaits them.
All right, wonderful. So I'm going to back off to the menu. Again, I totally recommend this game, guys. Space Hulk fans or 40K fans, whatever, I would definitely recommend it. Not at the $30 price point. There's really not enough content. Basically, every mission is more or less exactly what you just saw, but with a different mission in mind. And they do get progressively more and more challenging, but smart players should be able to figure them out pretty quickly. You get more tricks like librarians with psychic powers, which is great. You'll have that kind of stuff. The Broodlord is immensely difficult to kill, and once they start throwing out the Broodlord at you, it's really a challenge to deal with that guy. Assault cannon or bust, pretty much. So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. It's basically a very quick look at what Space Hulk looks like for those of you who are interested in knowing. I like the game. I'm going to give it 8 Imperial Skulls out of 10, I suppose, just for an arbitrary rating system. It's a great game. So look for it, pick it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for checking it out on Rites of Battle. Hopefully I will talk to you guys sometime soon with another game review of some sort, or something of that ilk, I guess. So hope your dice roll 6s, guys. Take care.